Climate change. Climate change is one of the biggest global challenges today as a result of increasing emissions of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone. One of the most significant impacts of climate change is the rise in global temperature, leading to the melting of glaciers and polar ice caps, causing sea levels to rise. Rising global temperatures are also causing more frequent and intense heat waves, droughts, and forest fires that can be devastating effects on agriculture and food production, as well as on human health and well-being. Climate and variability of climate conditions have a significant impact on food and the shaping of eating habits and traditions in different parts of the world. Traditional cuisine is developed according to the climate of a particular area and uses locally available ingredients, and the way of preparing and preserving food is adapted to specific climate conditions. Human activities have unquestionably contributed to the warming of the atmosphere, oceans, and land. The global food system is the largest source of methane and biodiversity loss, and it is estimated that it generates about one-third of all greenhouse gas emissions. More is emitted only by the energy sector. These emissions are due to the high levels of methane released by livestock during digestion and the large amount of energy required to produce and transport food. Production, transport, and food preparation are significant sources of greenhouse gas emissions. According to reports from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, food production and agriculture contribute approximately 25% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and about 70% of these relate to livestock production. These data highlight the significant impact that the food sector has on the environment and the need to solve this issue as one of the priority issues. Europe is warming faster than any other continent. The rise in temperature is twice as fast as the global average. Between 1850 and 1900, the average surface temperature rose globally by 1.2 degrees Celsius, and in Europe by 2.2 degrees Celsius. In Europe, the most vulnerable areas are the Mediterranean, Northwest Europe, and the Alpine region. The availability, price, and quality of traditional groceries will change, as will the possibility of producing some other varieties. The cost of breeding domestic animals is expected to increase due to the cost of emissions and the need to adapt the space to comply with animal welfare provisions and during extreme climate events. The expected changes in climate will gradually lead to significant changes in plant breeding systems and to some extent in farm animal breeding systems. The vegetation period begins earlier, lasts shorter, but ultimately yields decline. Phenological changes have already been recorded. For example, a shift in the spawning period of freshwater fish, early return of migratory birds from wintering sites, and changes in the phrenological phases of lilacs, apples, wines, olives, and maize. Research on the impact of climate change on the cultivation, development, and harvest of wines, varieties of Grashevina, Istrim, Malvasia, and Plavac Mali in the period from 1961 to 2010 have shown that these effects, the ratio of sugar and acid in grapes, and thus the quality of wine, and the increase of alcohol in wine, thus losing the recognition of certain types. Such wines become more reminiscent of Dalmatian wines, and wine growers in the interior of Croatia have begun to grow red grape varieties more. The estimated increase in temperature of the Adriatic Sea by 1.6 to 2.4 degrees Celsius by 2017 will result in the migration of fish, especially shrimp and hake, to deeper waters, and to the north, a higher number of invasive species, and reduction of disappearance of domestic fish species. The increase in acidity adversely affects shellfish farming. The warming trend in Croatia and Slovenia has been recorded over the last 60 years because it is geographically located in the Mediterranean basin, which according to international climate modeling results is marked as a climate hotspot. According to the European Environment Agency EEA report, the Republic of Croatia belongs to a group of 3 countries with the highest share of the damage from extreme weather and climate events in relation to gross domestic product, GDP. The intensity of climate change can be mitigated by reducing emissions or increasing the removal of greenhouse gases. Livestock farming has a higher carbon footprint than farming, so by reducing the production of meat and meat products, emissions and climate change are reduced. The use of seasonal foods, especially those of plant origin, helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Eating local food reduces the need for long transport of food. This reduces the amount of energy required and related greenhouse gas emissions in the food system. Test your knowledge. How does climate change affect agriculture and food security? A. Raise the sea level. B. Increase the frequency of droughts and forest fires. C. Decrease crop yields. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. How does the climate affect traditional cuisines in different parts of the world? A. Allows only the use of canned food. B. Limits the availability of food due to low temperatures. C. Affects types of locally available ingredients and food preparation methods. C. Affects types of locally available ingredients and food preparation methods. What are the most affected regions in Europe due to climate change? A. Mediterranean, Northwestern Europe and Alpine region. B. Eastern Europe, Mediterranean and Baltic. C. Alpine region, Eastern Europe and Mediterranean. D. Northern Europe, Alpine region and Eastern Europe. A. Mediterranean, Northwestern Europe and Alpine region. What are the consequences of climatic conditions changes on the grapevine? A. Increasing sun exposure and lower yields. B. Shorter growing season and higher concentration of sugar in grapes. C. Increase in precipitation and decrease in yield. D. Reducing the level of alcohol in wine and increased consumption. B. Shorter growing season and a higher concentration of sugar in grapes. For additional information, visit our website, climatecookbook.eu. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Climate Cookbook, Erasmus Plus project support of vocational education and training in gastronomic sector towards CO2 neutral kitchen.